For our test, we have chosen the most popular barrelless guns. They are the non-lethal pistol PB4 and the famous OSA. Then OSA's improved version, the OSA M09, and double-barreled Agita pistol of the same family. The competition to the barrelless weapons will be Grand Power T12, which muzzle energy was maximum before the 91 joules limitation was introduced to the weapons law. Standard caliber for the OSA family guns, 18.5 to 55 millimeters. The Agita is the only exception from it since it was made for a cartridge of a less caliber, 18 to 45 millimeters. Let's compare both these calibers to a standard 10 millimeter ammunition. And to start with, let's fire several shots at the boards. The Agita is first. In slow motion, you can see how hard the Agita bullet hits the board. The hit is very powerful, so it produces a long crack. The big damage area is because of the projectile. That is the bullet. Besides, power is restricted to 91 joules, and consequently, the damage area is like, well, from a good punch of, say, a 100-kilogram man. Now let's go on with a larger caliber, 18.5 to 55 millimeters. We'll see what this ammo is going to do with the board. Look, the bigger caliber cartridge looks more imposing. The effect from it is impressive. The flying bullet gives its energy to the board, but fails to pierce the wood in this case either. One Grand Power proof shot has been left. Have a look. A bullet fired from the semi-automatic pistol Grand Power T12 pierces the wood material. But this effect proves not an advantage, but rather a disadvantage of this weapon. See in the sequence, it's hard to believe that both heavy OSA bullet and light ammo Grand Power brings the same amount of energy to the target. Any ammunition that is traumatic, well, we should call it non-lethal, is limited to the power of 91 joules according to the weapons law. The effective legislation says that the muzzle energy of the non-lethal ammunition cannot exceed 91 joules. The difference is in the penetrability. Small 10mm bullets flies at about 3 times faster than OSA's bullet, which means that its diameter is less. Therefore, pressure on the hard surface contact point is higher. However, risk of serious injury and getting into jail in this case also grows at an exponential rate. It's clearly seen here that the area of OSA bullet penetration is much wider. And so the penetration is small, shallow, just about 3-4 millimeters. But still, the energy of this cartridge was enough to break the board and tear out a part of it. For the next test, we will need an aluminum alloy sheet 1.5 millimeters thick. Let's see how non-lethal ammunition will affect it. We will test the barrelless ammo of caliber 18.5 to 55 millimeters as the first one. Take a look. The rubber bullet hits metal and bounces off the side. OSA failed to pierce the metallic sheet, but waves and momentum transmitted by the ammo do not subside for a rather long time. Let's see what will be the result from the Agita BB2 pistol ammunition of caliber 18 to 45 millimeters, which is not so imposing. The bullet fired from the Agita hits the metal with the same power as the bigger caliber ammunition. Effects of the 18 to 45 millimeter cartridge is almost no different in appearance. But how will the bullet from the Grand Power affect the target? Will the high penetration strength ammo pierce the metal? Damage delivered to the metallic sheet by the bullet fired from the automatic pistol is visually the same as inflicted by the OSA. The result is the same. Metal has not been pierced. Let's measure the depth of penetration into metal. Okay, it's almost 7 millimeters, 6.8. The second hit is also a trace from OSA. Here the bullet flew in sideways. Well, about 5 millimeters. 4.44 millimeters, 4.5 millimeters. Now let's see which trace has been left by the Grand Power. It is 10.26 millimeters. Both barrelless representatives of the OSA family and automatic pistol Grand Power T12 are identified by the law as the single-type firearms of limited destruction. In order to obtain such self-protection means, you need to obtain a license. To see in details what exactly happens to ammunition when it hits a target, I suggest shooting at something transparent. I think automobile glass will do. First off, let's shoot the first-generation OSA pistol. Take a look. A tempered glass, when hit by the 18.5mm caliber bullet, is vibrating but not shattered. OSA bullet bounces off, not leaving visible damage. Ammo energy spreads over the glass surface. The same way the OSA ammunition impacts an aggressor. The energy spreads over the surface the bullet contacts without hitting. In this case, no visceral injury is delivered. But what happens if you shoot a barrelless cartridge of smaller diameter? The exact calculation of the designers is a guarantee that a Nagita owner won't go into jail. The smaller caliber ammo also doesn't break the glass. Let me remind you the physics again. Power of both weapons is about the same. Aerial blow from the OSA transmits the energy to the glass. The glass has enough strength to extinguish this energy. Will tempered glass sustain a grand power shot? Look here. A small grand power bullet fired at a speed of 440 meters per second will easily break an automobile glass, shattering it to pieces. Note how fast the fracturing pattern emerges along the surface. The bullet energy instantaneously spreads over the whole glass, destroying it. We are now through with the hard surfaces. Now let's go on to the soft ones. We'll see what a non-lethal cartridge will do to regular plasticine. The size of plasticine blocks is 15 to 15 centimeters. This is a rather hard target for a barrelless gun. I was aiming at the very center, and the bullet hit the upper corner. I conclude that for the distance I've shot from, this is a good result for the given plasticine area. Take a look. The 18.5mm caliber bullet flies into the plasticine as a meteorite making a deep crater. At the moment of hitting, a lot of heat energy is emitted. At the point of hitting, plasticine gets instantly melted down and spilled. Now it's time for the Agita. The 18mm caliber bullet gets literally smashed against the plasticine. The hit makes plastic stabilizer fly off and the bullet itself stays inside the plastic block. Now, grand power. The bullet goes into the plasticine, but its energy is still insufficient to pierce the block through. We still have ballistic gel in store, and I suggest that we fire a few shots against this substance. Ballistic gel is viscous polymer substance similar in its structure to soft tissues of humans and animals. Let's see how bullets purposed for barrelless weapons affect it. But to start with, let's fire the grand power. A bullet fired from the automatic pistol encounters gel and almost penetrates it. The rubber ball covers all but a quarter of the distance, failing to overcome the soft barrier. How will the OSA answer it? The gel failed to retain an 18.5mm caliber bullet. The ammo flew through it easily. In real life, considerable amount of OSA bullet powerful energy is withstood by skin covering in clothes. Penetration of the huge, heavy ammunition into tissue is almost impossible, whereas a small bullet from the grand power is unpredictable.